45 miles north of New York City. For about 16 years, became partly interested in strategy. Started IBM India Research Lab in 1998 to 2000, and that's where this company started, actually. Met the co-founder, who is Swiss by birth and background, Mark Wollenweider. Mark is from McKinsey. I was thinking of doing I had some ideas of doing outsourcing word or offshoring word was not known at that time. I was thinking of doing some work in intellectual property research out of India because that is where we at IBM India Research Lab were facing problems. Mark was running the McKinsey Knowledge Center. And we interestingly met because our kids were going to the same school in Delhi, American Embassy School. And the interesting part is, and that's where destiny, I mean, tomorrow if the company becomes successful, I'm sure I will be like many others and say, oh, we did such a great thing, but it's pure destiny. I didn't even want to meet Mark because what do strategy consultants know? So, particularly from McKinsey, I mean, come on, I mean, yeah. So we met because our kids were going to the same school. Their wives met at a birthday party. They started talking, and once my wife met Mark, and she convinced me to have dinner with him. And I said, okay, if you're cooking, I will. And so we met, and we started talking. He was running the business research part for McKinsey Knowledge Center. McKinsey, by that time, Rajat Gupta was the head of McKinsey. He had started the center. They'd hired by that time, about when I met him, about 80 MBAs or so on. So he said, I want to do market research, business research. And we suddenly realized the interesting opportunity was just to do research and analytics. Everyone at that time was thinking about call centers. IT outsourcing was already pretty well known. And so we said, okay, we're going to quit. And of course, our wives were looking at us, what did they do? Right? So we both quit, IBM and McKinsey, decent jobs, fairly decent paychecks, and so on. Started this company called EvaluServe. It's a very generic name for a very generic company. We do evaluation services, which is custom research and analytics services and nothing else. So we do not do any transaction work. We do not do any IT work, only custom research and analytics. This is 6 years and 3 months ago. We needed a person, so we met, Mark and I met in April 2000. And I just want to point out, because Kevin said that there are successful entrepreneurs, there is nothing successful about here. So I just want to put it very bluntly. So we were looking for a chief operating officer to run our India office. One of the guys from McKinsey, who Mark knew, had gone and started a .com in November 1999, and then the bottom fell off. This is in India. And so Mark told him, hey, you know, some McKinsey guy is starting a research center as a third party. Do you want to join? He says, no, Mark, I'm not interested. I'll do something else. And then he found out that he and I were starting. He says, why didn't you tell me? I would have joined it right there. So we started this company with 3 people, put in our own money. We started this company. We needed a VP of marketing and sales. And since I knew some people at IBM, and particularly this marketing and sales manager, who was always interested in doing something new. He used to visit us in Watson Research Center, Bob Daigle. So I said, Bob, this is what we're doing. Would you be interested? He says, well, let me think about it. He talked to Mark. Then he comes back and says, you know, I'm going through my personal problems. It's an impending divorce. I don't want to leave a very nice, cushy job at IBM. So I said, think about it for three weeks or so. The story comes about that he was driving with his girlfriend on Mass Pike. They stop at a pit stop. He goes to the urinal. It's written, you stupid, quit your job. He comes back. He says to Maggie, she says, this is an epiphany. You have to quit your job, Bob. Now, I do not know whether it's true, but this is how unsuccessful people start companies. So this is today. So he joined us in February of 2001. We're about 6 years and 3 months old. We're about 1,680 people. We are a very virtual company. So our headquarters are in Bermuda. We have a desk there. That way, we're very much like Accenture. The lawyers are those of Accenture. We do not have a head office. Most of us work out of our home offices. We're very much going after the BRIC region for custom research and analytics. So we have out of these 1,680, we have about 1,500 people in Delhi, Gurgaon area. Gurgaon is a suburb of Delhi. Then we have a center in Shanghai, about 75, 80 people, where we do research in investment research, business research in Chinese, Japanese, Korean. We started a center in Chile to cover the Brazilian, the South American region. We have about 35 people, and next year we'll open a center in Hungary to cover the Russian and the Eastern region. So with that as the starting point, I do not know. I mean, to me, it's a research experiment in progress. We provide all kinds of research and analytic services. Investment research is our biggest area. We have about 550 people working for various investment banks, hedge funds, private equity groups. We have about 250 people doing intellectual property research, patent drafting, prior art searching, patent valuations, a lot of market research where we actually survey oncologists in the US or in Europe or cardiologists in Japan. We talk to experts like the Gerson-Lehrman Group. We talk to experts or connect them with the clients. We do business research, which is basically consulting research, provide those services to strategy departments of large companies, to consulting companies, and so on. And I really do not know how, in terms of going back to the question as to whether the VC market is overheated in India, I think I'm sure we'll discuss that in great detail.
Yes, so we'll delve into that. I have some specific questions that'll maybe force you to come to an opinion on that.
Sorry?
That'll force you to come to an opinion on
Sure.
that pretty soon. So
and I'm well known for coming to rather controversial opinions on that.
Jack, why don't you...
I think actually the question happened to concur my personal sort of a startup experience working with China. I'd actually seen personally 3 bubbles and in China, and more than that, the macro major bubbles. And it so happened I came to this country when I was 24, so back in when 87. I started my first company selling PCs, Micron PC from Idaho, to China. Actually managed to convince them to give us 3 years exclusive for China, entire China. They didn't know how to spell China, so that was easy to get. And I brought their CEO to China, launched the product, launched the company. And that was the first bubble in China, at least one I see from a major technology trend perspective. And one thing that maybe David can share that, or I don't know whether we share that since we're sitting on the opposite of the table here, the Chinese bubble tend not to burst. They just evolve into another bubble. So the PC bubble lasts, so I started a company in 94 and did it until 96, 97. The internet bubble started here, so I came back actually. I wasn't actually traveling back and forth anyway. And started, basically started the kind of interwoven as part of the founding VP engineering and caught the bubble here while PC bubble continued on in China. And they didn't catch the internet bubble until much later. I think a lot of the returnees from 99, when we started to go public, they actually started to go back. And and I got the luxury to go back to China when we went public. When we went public, in 2.5 years, and it was a market cap of $7 billion. So we actually, of course, we want to tap to the Chinese market. So we went in with an enterprise software angle, and did that for 5 years. We probably didn't make any money in that 5 years. We have an operation with 30, 50 people, and break even every time. And we couldn't figure out how to make money, and nobody did. And that might be one way to make money in the future. And so my third bubble, so that internet bubble actually burst here, and the Chinese internet bubble did burst from a valuation perspective. But if you actually got those stock, they were actually all under $1, like Sohu and Sina and all of those, and you will return 50x or 100x later on. So that was kind of my experience. The second bubble